right after high school. I graduated from Romeo High School in 2001 and started coaching JV right after that. And at that time, we did have sideline and competitive. So I've been doing both since then, pretty much. So started just based on cheering at Romeo, my love for the sport, and then that transitioned completely into a lifestyle, really.
Yeah. And what is the difference between cheerleading in the fall, line cheerleading or whatever you call it,
Sideline. Yep.
sideline cheerleading, and competitive cheer? What are the differences between the two?
Well, sideline is not part of the MHSAA. It's not technically an MHSAA sport in the fall. It's more or less it's considered a club, although our athletes do practice almost every day still. But our focus during the fall is really we attend football games every Friday. On occasion, we will attend other sports here and there. And really, it's to be leaders within the school if we can, kind of help school spirit in any way we can. And while we are, doing games and practicing for that, it's also to get ready for competitive season. So we can't do any choreography or make our routines or anything in the fall. But the skills that we teach them, the gymnastics, the stunting, the jumps, all of that, that's really when we're trying to build those skills and perfect them. And then during competitive, we actually make up the routines, and that's when we start going to competition.
And are these the same girls in competitive cheer as are on the sideline? I mean, they just transition to competitive cheer, or how does that? We have new girls, or what? How does that work?
Well, we have tryouts, so it can be it technically it can be a whole two different sets of kids if that's how it worked out. But typically, I would say about 95 to 100%, depending on the year, is the same athletes. We do have, there are some athletes that just do sideline. We've had a couple here and there, and we welcome and encourage that. Competitive's not for everyone. It's a much bigger commitment. It's a little bit more stressful during competitive season. So typically, we have a little bit smaller numbers for competitive season than we do sideline, just because it's a little bit harder and the time commitment's greater.
And training for competitive cheer, is it about the same as what you do for sideline?
It's really one and the same. It's hard to separate the skills. Everything we do at games, for the most part, are things we're going to be doing at competition. It's against MHSAA regulations to create any of your material prior to that first tryout week. But essentially, it's the same. It's interesting because we're really the only sport that has two seasons. And really, when it's most of the time, it's 95% of the same kids and it's always the same coaches. It really feels like a two season sport. And that adds an interesting dynamic to our sport. The seniors that I've had since their freshman year, one of them sitting right over there, she has been with me for 8 seasons. That's a long time to be with a group of kids. So,
Almost like your own kids.
yeah, no, pretty much. Yeah. My own kids, know most of the kids on our team just as well as they, know kids in their neighborhood or at their school. I mean, it's really part of our family. So really, there's no separation of skills. You kind of build the season, around competitive season and building up to that. That's the main focus.
So if I want to go out for the team, that's a scary thought in itself. But what does it take to get to make the team?
Well, it changes from year to year. It depends on, the athletes that are trying out and the number of spots that we have available. Typically on the varsity team, we like to see, in order to be in round 2 and round 3, typically at least a standing back tuck, which is a pretty high level gymnastics skill.
Standing back tuck.
Back tuck, yes. So
Be
basically,
a traction for weeks if I try.
yeah, I don't recommend it, but basically a back handspring with no hand. So we try and shoot for that, because that, if you are going to be in our second round, round 2, you have to have at least a standing back tuck to be in that round. We do have athletes that don't have a standing back tuck, and that means they're bringing other skills to the table, whether that's being really great at their stunting position. They may be really great at round one, which entails more having really great jumps and having really great leadership skills and presence. So, as far as skill level goes, great jumps, standing back tuck, back handspring, that's what we shoot for.